The Rosen Report, sports like never before. Brought to you by Gooch Live and Paramount Sports Management. Here's Rosie.
Good Tuesday afternoon to everybody. It's not a terrible day today. It looks like it's raining a little here and there. Got a good hockey show for you today. Got a few guests going to pop up. We got the great Kerry Goulet, the Gooch. Haven't talked to the Gooch in a while, just the way schedules have been, and he's all over, and I'm trying to get things going. We'll have the producer, director, the Fanshawe kid, Jordan LaRoche on, and we'll have his dad, John, on. I think he's going back overseas soon, so we'll have him on and get the three perspective plus mine on how we're doing. Season starts very soon in another week or so on what's been happening. I want to ask him a question about one of my favorite goalies who's been in the news, not about playing goal, but about his opinions. But first, I have to do it. The playoffs start tonight. Everybody knows how much I love baseball. So we're going to talk a little bit of baseball, very brief. The Jays, you know my thoughts, man. What a great season. They had a couple of glitches here and there. But, guys, remember, if you're a hater, remember the team wasn't home for over a year. They started the season basically in Florida in Dunedin in a AAA park, really. Then they went to 100% AAA park in Buffalo, and then they came back to Toronto. They did a million great things today. They have a great future. Hopefully, somehow, Robbie Ray can find his way to stay here for a few more years. If not, maybe we'll pick up a free agent. We'll see. And Simeon, I think he wants to play shortstop. I don't think Bo's moving over. So it was a good year. We missed out by one game. The wild card starts tonight. The Boston Red Sox host the New York Yankees. For all of you Red Sox and Yankee fans, this should be a great game. I personally think the Yankees going to walk into Fenway and destroy the Sox, and then they'll go to Tampa, and I'll talk about that as it goes along. It's going to be a real good series. Tampa's a good team. The New York Yankees, man, if they can get a little bit of pitching, they look solid. And then in the other series, it's the old man series in managers. You got Dusty Baker managing the Houston Astros and the Cheaters, and you've got Tony La Russa, one of the greatest managers of all time, managing the Chi Sox, the Chicago White Sox. We'll see about that. The National League starts tomorrow night. Unbelievable. The Los Angeles Dodgers won 105 games, and they have to play a wild card game. That's incredible. Against the St. Louis Cardinals, who won 18 in a row. That should be great. The winner of that is going against the San Francisco Giants. Had a year that cannot be compared. 106 wins. Woo, baby. And then the Atlanta team is playing Atlanta Braves. Sorry, I had a little bit of a glitch there in my brain. They're playing the Milwaukee Brewers. That should be a good series. But I think whoever wins that, Milwaukee or Atlanta, they're getting smoked by either San Francisco or LA. I'm calling Los Angeles Dodgers back-to-back, just like we had in hockey with the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Dodgers will win the World Series again, back-to-back. That's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. If you're on the Dodgers, you're probably going, oh, my God, no, Rosie, please don't have anything to do with betting us because we're going to lose for sure. Should be good ball. Starts tonight. 8 o'clock Eastern. If you got nothing to do and you want to watch good baseball, watch it. It'll be right after Concussed, Kerry Goulet's show, which I'd love to be on, and I will be on soon. It's going to be a great show. As always, the Gooch always has a great show. We're on the Fired Up Network. Remember that. Gooch Live, Gooch Productions, Fired Up Network. What a marriage. It's amazing. Tonight, though, the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park will lose to the New York Yankees. Let's bring up the gang. Jordan LaRoche, Johnny LaRoche, have we got another? And Kerry Goulet. We're going to Kerry
Goulash.
Kerry Goulet. Got any soup for me, Kerry?
Yeah.
We almost
got my
those.
nickname.
Johnny's a handsome man. You know that?
Looking yellow.
A little overweight, but
I'm a very 2021. I'm good with everything. And Johnny, you're a handsome man.
Jesus, this is.
Look at. I'm gonna come here more often.
How come I'm so yellow?
Gooch.
Your lights are on.
Thank you. Thanks, Tips.
Gooch, I feel like I haven't seen you in like 3 months.
I haven't. I can hardly see it. It's so dark. Hang on a sec. Don't move.
We're not going anywhere. All right. So I won't ask you two guys about baseball because I know you're not just kind of on flip a coin. The New York Yankees are going into Fenway to play the Boston Red Sox. Supposed to be home field in baseball. Supposed to be a big thing. Really, in a one game means jack squat. Any thoughts, Johnny? You think the Red Sox can hold the Yankees off?
Well, I mean, look, you can't be in Toronto right now and be a little bit of a baseball fan. So it's not like I don't turn on the TV or listen to the news. It's an exciting time. But you saw the Yankees come in, when they were playing the Blue Jays, and for whatever they were slipping in the midterm, they looked solid. They are going to be hard to beat for anyone. And they did what they needed to in their last game. So they're a money team, always been a money team. So don't bet against them.
No. Jordan, you want to pass or?
I'll just go Yankees. Why not?
Did you change your clothes there, Gooch? Or were you wearing the same shirt?
No, I'm wearing the same shirt. It's just I was a little yellow.
Oh, okay. What do you think? You think the Sox have a chance against the Yankees at home?
I think the Sox win it. I just think there was some shenanigans going on because I think it was you, John, that gave me this thought. Who would you rather see, Boston Red Sox versus the Yankees, or the Yankees versus the Blue Jays, or the Sox against the Blue Jays? Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing would have been if, and a lot of people don't know this, that if Boston and New York would have lost yesterday, forget about Seattle, and the three teams would have been tied. The way it was set up is that Boston would have played Toronto today. The loser would have then played the Yankees tomorrow, and the winner would have played the winner of the Yankees and the loser on Wednesday, only to play Tampa on Friday. But
What?
you
know what? I'm not sure why
chose to
the
get rid of the
Washington
Blue Nationals stink. The Washington Nationals are very similar to the Washington, whatever they were called, that played the Harlem Globetrotters for years. The Washington Nationals are a pitiful baseball team that should have never left Montreal, shouldn't have a franchise. I know they won a World Series a couple years ago. They are pitiful. They had a 5-1 lead over Boston and choked like you wouldn't believe choking. And then the Yankees to win 1-0 in the bottom of the ninth. I'm fed up because it.
No, but John did make a very valid point. Somebody got to check. That's all I know. All right, move on.
But Boston's already eliminating Toronto from the playoffs, and it's not even hockey season yet. So,
whoa,
all is still normal.
Tell you one thing though, in my opinion, the Toronto Blue Jays, you can hear it here first. The Toronto Blue Jays will win a World Series before the Yankees or the Red Sox, because either one of them that wins tonight is getting destroyed by the Tampa Bay Rays. That's the bomber. Enough said with baseball. We'll bring on a baseball expert, our friend Warren Socky or Mike Wilner. Let's talk hockey, boys. I haven't talked to you guys in a while. So first of all, I want to talk to you guys about, there's a lot of hockey going now. I love the system I have now, this Fire Stick system. Thank my sister for my birthday present from last year. It's cool, man. I can watch everything. I can watch every single game, every baseball, every hockey, every football. Every team's got a channel. I can watch stuff from the KHL. Any surprises on what's been going on in the preseason, or you just kind of think it's regular? Gooch, you first.
Well, we had an opportunity to go to Ottawa and watch the Ottawa Senators, probably the Belleville Bills, play against the Toronto Maple Leafs, aka the Marlies. And I always take it with a grain of salt, even though my Winnipeg Jets don't look very good in the preseason. But it is that. It's preseason. It's coaches getting an opportunity to look at some of those, guys are on the edge, whether or not they're going to make the big jump to the big team. So I don't think you can read much into it other than the fact that everybody's just getting ready for the regular season. So I don't think if you go 0 for 9, if that's how many games you play, or you go 9-0, it's not going to make any difference. It's when the puck drops next week, and that's what's going to matter. I
totally agree with you. John?
Yeah, the only thing I might add is you saw a lot of cuts today, yesterday and today. The rosters are down to, the bubble guys. Those bubble guys will get a shot as the season goes on. So I think the next few games will be a little bit more interesting. But, we're all waiting for, I think it's the 13th or the 14th. That's when it all really starts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And George, we've talked a few times in the last couple of weeks about what's been going on. I had a chance to watch the Hawks a couple of times, and it was so nice to see number 19 with that C playing around in warm up and jumping into the boys. It's going to be nice to have him back. It may not be the year of the Hawks. They may not make the playoffs. I think they will, but just nice to see that beautiful kid back and healthy. George, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Tate has kind of been a Canadian staple in hockey for a better part of a decade now. So, I mean, any time you see someone miss a year for whatever reason, you hope they can come back and have a good year. So, I mean, Jonathan Tate, it's good to see him back. And for Chicago, playoffs, it'd be a bit of a stretch, but I think they're kind of similar spot to the Rangers, where I think they could probably battle for a bottom seeding spot. Maybe like one of those wild card spots.
It's going to be tough. I really looked at the divisions closely today, and you've got 4 divisions of 8. Only 4 teams make it in each, so 16 make it, 16 don't. Yeah. It's going to be tough, man. You look at teams. You look at some divisions like Detroit and Buffalo. They're out right away, in my opinion. Okay. But then, you're talking about the Leafs. I like Ottawa. I honestly think Ottawa's going to make the playoffs. I think the Leafs, Montreal, it could be tough. I want to go to the Olympics for 1 second, guys. We talked about different things. I don't think Jonathan Toews might get an invite, but I don't think he's going. I don't think he's good enough right now. There's too many great players. I want to know what you 3 think of Mitch Marner from the Toronto Maple Leafs representing Canada. If and believe me, if you want to, send your hate mail to me, Paul Rosen. I don't care. It doesn't bother me whatsoever, because I'm looking at it as a guy who played for Canada. Mitch Marner, great player. Where am I going to put him in my top 12? He's not in it, because he's got to be in the top 6, in my opinion, and he's not there. Could he play on the third line? I don't think he got Mitch Marner on the third line. So I say Mitch Marner to you. You're not going to Beijing. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think he's third line. That third line I really like a lot. There might be a spot on the fourth if they decide to give them some power play time or a little specialty teams, and they play them like the bottom 3 in a top 6 scenario. But they could put him onto a fourth line or bring him as the extra skater. But there's no room for him in the top 9.
So they possibly, I totally 100% agree with it. They possibly could do what they did with PK Subban when he came and won a gold medal, but played next to nothing. I know Babcock didn't like him, but what's your thoughts on that, Jordan? We'll save the gooch for last.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat. I mean, you're not going to put him in a bottom 6 position, because that's not his game. But I mean, it is hard to turn a player like that down. But and you look at a lot of projections now. You have some guys that leave Matt Barzal off the roster, some other bigger guys. I don't know if Mitch Marner is better than, for example, a Matt Barzal. But I mean, on top of that, I don't think any Leaf is going to make Team Canada this year.
I agree with you. I can't see a Leaf making there. A couple of U.S. guys for sure, but the Canadian. Well, what about Morgan Riley?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but there's been talk about Morgan Riley possibly being your 7th defenseman. Hey, Gooch, I want to ask you your opinion on Mitch Marner making the team, but also, is Mark Scheifele a lock for Team Canada?
I was going to say Riley's going to have a tough time making the Leafs.
Whoa. He's not going to. He's not going to have a tough time making $9 million next year from somebody other than the Leafs.
Unbelievable when you think of all the defensemen that got $9 million. It's usually, as Jordan knows, 9.75. I think is the number that everybody likes. It's going to be tough paying him $9 million, boy. Listen, obviously the Marner story is very interesting. As we all know, I'm not the biggest Marner fan. I'm the one that actually said, listen, last year they weren't going to go anywhere in the playoffs. Not that I'm brilliant. I think everybody knew that. With Marner and Matthews, they just don't have the chemistry and the leadership as far as I'm concerned. I love the all or nothing. Fell asleep to it with John last night watching it. Holy macalarchy. Who can? Jack Campbell, stop crying. I still can't. I got that vision. Going on to your question, Mitch Marner, they've got him pinned right now. There's a lot of, speculation. I think the first 2 months of this NHL season, even 3 months, is really going to determine some of the placements for that third and fourth line and fifth and sixth defenseman, and then, of course, the goalie. But what I was reading here earlier, they've got him with Ryan O'Reilly, Mark Scheifele, which again is a absolute lock if he comes back and plays the way he can after the disaster that happened to him in the playoffs. And they've got Mitch Marner with them. They don't even have Steven Stamkos in this lineup. Like, I don't care. I'll have Steven Stamkos on one leg, as we saw him a couple of years ago where he scored a goal on one leg. Before I'd have Mitch Marner. And I'm not a Toronto Maple Leaf hater, and I'm not a Mitch Marner hater. I just don't think this guy's got the character to play in a team when you've got the top two lines with quality players. If he's not playing up there, he's not playing in my hockey team.
I think all four of us are on the same page with that, especially the fact that when you think of a Steven Stamkos and a Mitch Marner, okay, Stamkos is older, whatever, but there's one thing that Stamkos has done that Marner's never done. Win. He's got Stanley Cup rings. He's got an Olympic gold medal. How can you do that? I just don't. I understand Jonathan Toews not making it because of what happened last year, him being sick and coming back. Unless he comes back incredible and somehow sneaks onto a fourth line.
Guys, you're missing a couple other players, Paul. Sorry. Jordan, you can maybe comment on this. Taylor Hall. Hey, listen, this guy has talent and he fits that game. Sean Courtois out of Philadelphia. I love this guy.
Yeah.
I think he's a good hockey player. And here we are talking about a guy like Mitch Marner. Yeah. Why aren't those guys in the mix?
Couturier, I think, makes the team. I don't think that Hall makes the team. But
Couturier's a center, though. I mean, are you going to put him ahead of McDavid, Bergeron, McKinnon, Crosby?
But
Jordan, hang on. Paul, I hope agree with me. You take the best talent. You don't worry if a guy plays 100%. Center, defense. You're not putting the guy in net or playing defense. A guy that plays center can play left wing or right wing when they're put in that position. I believe you take your best talent on when you're dealing with the top two lines. I agree with you, Jordan. I don't think you want to tinker too much, but you can certainly move a guy like that when he's got that much talent. You can move him to the wing or you move somebody else. You got to have him on your team.
There's no doubt about it, guys. Honestly,
Stop agreeing with me.
No, I'm going to agree with you when you're right. You're right this time. That bottom line is it doesn't matter left winger, right winger, centerman. If you've got that talent to be at that level, you're making the team, and the coach will decide what's going on. And let's put it this way. They're going to have a hell of a team. The fact that Carey Price and Marc-Andre Fleury are going to be the goalies, and I don't even think they have to go in net. That's how good this team is going to be.
You know what? I want to ask both of you because you guys are goalies, and I know John's going to be on my side. I think that's where the Achilles tendon is on this hockey club.
Yep.
Obviously, the Fleury, he's going to have a good start in Chicago. He's a bit older, as you know. And then, of course, with Carey Price, we don't even know what's going to go on with Carey Price. He's not starting the regular season. He was supposed to skate yesterday. He didn't. What's going on with that injury? These two guys that you're going to ride when they get to February. These guys, if those teams, maybe Fleury is not quite as important to his club right now as the Montreal Canadiens trying to vie back to get in the playoffs. I think they're going to have to ride Carey Price and Montreal to not be out of a playoff position by February. So are you going to take a guy at that age, still with some injury in situations, and you're sitting with two older goaltenders? That's where I think Team Canada may have a hole.
I'll go first for a second, Jordan, then you can come in. I totally agree with you again. Gooch just says it must be a full moon in the afternoon. Their Achilles heel is 100% in goal. They're two very good goalies. They've had great careers, but who else are you going to take? What other Canadian you're going to take? Mike Smith. He's 1,000 years old. Although some people might say that he's just as good or better than the boys. He's had a great year last year. The young kids, Binnington, Hart, the young goalies that were supposed to be incredible have had terrible years last year. I don't know. I think the one thing that the U.S. has over Canada in spades is their goaltending. The U.S. goaltending is stellar. Now, they may have problems with every other part of their game, but the U.S. Goaltending is incredibly good. Jordan, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's the Achilles heel. I mean, you look at Carey Price in the playoffs last year. You look at Marc-Andre Fleury, who's a Vezina nominee. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys can still play. So, I mean, I was a little lost by your, maybe it's your phrasing, but or the way he said it, just because I don't think that it's going to be an issue at all, at least this year. Maybe next Olympics in 4 years, it might be an issue, but you still have Darcy Kemper. And then, like you said, Bennington can still bounce back. Carter can still bounce back. They're not as good as the U.S. goalies, but I don't think it really matters that much either, because I think
Well,
Canada.
you guys are experts in your
ahead.
field. Obviously, you don't know it's Achilles tendon. There is no Achilles heel, kids. Come on, wake up.
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
I think at the end of the day,
Brooklyn
what you
tore
guys
both
are
of your
talking
things.
about is a bit of a shade of gray here. I think almost any other team would trade their goalies for the two that you're talking about. They could be a shade weaker, but I think I want to go back to the comment a few moments ago, Paul.
Yep.
I think it was a great quote by, I think it was Sidney Crosby, that he said, "Look at the team. If I have to carry the pucks or the sticks to that to the bench and sit there at the end in any position they want me to play, I'll play it." Just to be a part of this thing is remarkable. So center or wing or defense, it doesn't matter. And I think the goalies are just an extension of that. I think once you get on the ice and you're wearing your Canadian flag, and Paul, you'd know this, I think you find a gear somewhere that didn't exist before this whole thing started.
Do you know what? Can I just comment on that, what you said about the Crosby statement? I had a chance to travel across Canada for a few events with Mike Keenan. Everybody knows Mikey.
Wow.
And it's when he had calmed down a little bit. And he was telling stories. And one of the stories that he told me was about the 1987 team. And it was exactly that in that boardroom. They had all the players come in, and I can't remember the actual quotes and all the things, but he actually took the team and he said, "Okay, we've got 60 minutes of ice time." And he broke it down that Gretzky's going to get X amount and Messier's going to get X amount. And it got down to Dale Howardchuk, where he was going to get, instead of him being the top line player, he was only going to get 8 minutes. And everybody bought into that because everybody knew the pecking order, that you can't take ice time away from Gretzky if you're going to win at that particular moment. And then he turned to Grant Fuhr and he said, "Don't worry, you're playing all 60. And so I thought that was amazing when you think about these guys are able to look in the mirror and say, "All right, if we're going to win this, I'm going to have to take a step back, maybe play a different role, but I know that I'm going to be part of a winning team." And I think that's a really good point from Crosby. Not that he's passing the torch by any means, because I'll tell you what, we may not have to worry about goaltending if McKinnon and him and Bergeron, all those guys are on they have no chance. I don't think anybody's going to touch this offense.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the great thing about Canadian team, whether it's the Olympics or Paralympics, the women's team, the men's team, is when you get a chance and you buy in, like we bought in Torino, and that's why I have a gold medal. We didn't buy in Vancouver. We had a great team, probably better in Vancouver than in Torino. We didn't buy in 100% every minute of every game, and that's why we don't have a gold medal in Vancouver. It's straightforward. You can have all the talent in the world. If you don't buy into the plan, hard work will beat talent. Now, there's a lot of talent in this Canadian team. Hey, boys, I want to ask you a question about, it's been around this past week. We love when guys speak up. We love it. We have our shows. We love a guy. I'm going to say this, and then when he says too much, maybe we go, well, maybe he went over the line a little, saying a little too much. We like guys to say, but not say too much. I love Robin Lehner. I think he's battled addiction. He's battled mental health. He's battled a lot of different things. He has gone. I loved him with the Blackhawks. He ended up leaving to Vegas. Got flurried from Vegas to Chicago. So it's kind of a great little thing there. But I love what he has said in this last week. I love the fact that he's calling people out, that he's talking about this guy and that guy and the Kachuks and money. And what's your thoughts? John, I'm going to go with you first. Would you rather a player just shut his mouth and play, or do you have an issue with a guy really opening his mouth?
In this upside down world we're in right now, I wouldn't want to be the guy who stands up in front of Lehner, in front of the whole world, the hockey world, and says, I think you're out of line with what you've said. I actually think you're going to see a really different view from people that may have towed the line in the past. And I don't think you can put, sweep this under the carpet. So, if there's ever a time for Lehner, it's probably now.
I agree. Gooch?
You know what? I may not toe the line, and I think there's a situation here where he's a professional and he's being paid professional, and he's putting his opinions out about the Jack Eichel situation. He's talking about Ambient. He's making accusations. He got himself in a little bit of trouble, obviously, with Villeneuve. I just think there's a time and place for everything. I think his stand against mental health is absolutely needed. It's a fresh approach to it. We all need to stand up and say more, but I think we have to have our facts in place before we start doing it. And to counter that, everybody was kind of questioning, is he right or wrong? And then Gary Bettman makes the statement, oh, we have an 800 number that all the players can reach out to. Oh my God, are you kidding me? I can't remember who said it, but he said he almost spilt his coffee choking at that one. I think both parties are wrong in this situation. I think players need to speak up. I think there needs to be a forum where they can speak up, but just going on Twitter and throwing stuff out, because we all know it's maybe not how Leonard wanted to present it, because words, when they're typed, are not as good as saying it. I know he's on Spitting Chicklets. John, you heard it. I think we do have to be a little bit sensitive to the fact that we're throwing a bunch of stuff out there, and it could throw some people under the bus that he probably didn't want to, but now he's going to be judged. And I don't think he should be judged specifically for what he's gone through in mental health.
I'm going to split it on you 50-50. I love what he said about Jack Eichel. I really believe that the Sabres have blown this thing, absolutely blown it. It's Jack Eichel's body. He has a right to the surgeon who's going to operate on his neck. I think what he said about the Philadelphia Flyers, you got to be really careful that you 100% know what's going on in that Flyers locker room, not just by one guy who came to your team now and maybe you guys went out for a coffee and he told you some stuff and you just spurted it out. Because if that's the case, man, I could say a lot of stuff about my 10 years with Canada, and some of it would be true, some of it wouldn't be true. I'd get myself in a lot of trouble, I'll tell you that much. Jordan, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, but there has to be. While I do agree with what he's doing, because I mean, the NHL doesn't really have the forum. Like they have the 1-800 number, but I mean, this is kind of how all these things get started, right? You have an outlier who's kind of going against the way of of everyone right now, and maybe this sparks some kind of change within the NHL. We're seeing this a lot with Facebook right now, with Miss Haig in Congress, speaking of Congress today, about the way Facebook's operated in terms of hiding reports that suggest that it's actually harmful to us. So I think it's kind of a very similar situation where I think we will see some change out of this, even though it might not be the best place to air out your laundry.
But if I could just add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Paul. I think there's a place in all of this is ownership, protecting their assets. That's what I don't understand of all this. We all know there's only one Leonard, and there's only one Carey Price, and there's only one Crosby and Eichel on a team. Why are we even having this discussion? Why should it be a public forum when we understand if you have good players, you should just treat them with the respect and make sure you keep them as healthy as you possibly can, because you want them to play for years. Listen, you know what we're in. At 62 years old, playing where I played, obviously I know that at the end of the game, you're pumped up and you're wired, Paul. You've been there. You get back home to the apartment. You're watching TV. You can't bring it all down. I know for a fact, and I can't throw anybody on the bus, guys would be grabbing that Ambient, throwing it in his pocket, and they'd be popping those pills like it was Skittles. We know the situation with Derek Bugard. It's well documented about the Oxycontins that were thrown in. He had like 200 pills prescribed to him a month by 3 or 4 different doctors. This is not new. This is where the NHL must be responsible to their players. And I hate the word asset. We should take that out. These are players, but humans first. And I think until they get a policy where the doctors are working together with the management and the players alike, I think we're going to hear more Leonard stories than we need to hear from in the public.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And the crazy thing is that I want to know, Jordan, do you know who's answering that 1-800 number? Is it Pee Wee Herman? Is it Mrs. Butler? Because
probably a call center on the other side of nowhere.
In Thailand. I think it's in Thailand. Johnny, you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. I you know what? I think as long as Gary Bettman's in charge, and it's no knock, Gary Bettman's made the owners a lot of money, and they probably secretly or maybe out front love him. But I honestly don't think Gary Bettman, one way or another, the players are the players. They can be replaced. And it is what it is. I do think that over the years, the addiction I had to painkillers, and I was taking 30, 35 oxys a day, getting close to the end. And it was simple. Like when you're talented, and I was a talented sled hockey player, I could have gone to doctors anywhere. I could have gone to hospitals and put on, my leg, and they offer you 20, and you go, no, I need 60, and before you know it, you have 300. I think it's getting better, but we got a long way to go. Hey guys, great show. Any last words, Jordan?
Nothing from me. I mean, I'm just ready for October 12th.
John?
I've got one more thing, and I've raised it, I think, when you guys invited me on a couple of weeks ago. What I find most intriguing about this season is the excitement going in. There are a lot of teams that think they have a chance.
Yep.
And I think the reason for that is this flat cap. That flat cap was in very few teams' plans. So what they've had to do is they've had to skim off that fourth line, maybe eat a little muscle into the third line. It takes 4 lines to win a Stanley Cup, as you've seen, Montreal get to the end. You've seen Tampa do it. St. Louis do it. Well, not many teams have that depth anymore. So a lot of teams are feeling pretty good right now, or at least excited. Yet a lot of them are still a mystery, because you just don't know once you get past that, 8th or 9th player, what you got left. And yet it's going to be those 3 or 4 guys at the end that's going to make the difference. So I think there's a lot of teams that believe they really have a shot this year, and not from their own doing. Then you got teams on the other side, like the Leafs, who are extreme, as we showed some charts a couple of weeks ago. And, they're just not going to be there in the end. But those teams that manage to find a balance, can build that third and fourth line, there's going to be some surprises this year. I think there's a lot of teams excited about this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think the perfect example is the Tampa Bay Lightning winning their second cup and losing a guy like Tyler Johnson and the Chicago Blackhawks, going like, we'll take him. You don't lose a guy like that if there's not a flat cap. So 100%. It happened to the Hawks in 2010 when they lost Buffy. They didn't want to lose him. They had no choice. Gooch?
Wow, if I'm Blake Coleman, I'm thinking, what the heck did I do go with the Flames? Listen, you obviously, the Leafs marketing department already showed their hand, putting out a ridiculous, and I'm going to say it again, ridiculous Netflix or Amazon Prime, all or nothing. It's already nothing, guys. Let's move on from that one.
They should make a new one this year before the season starts called Nothing or Nothing.
No, you know what could have worked, John? We watch it and we're making fun of it. You're obviously the one that kind of pointed out, because I'm not that close to the Leafs. I'm not a Leaf hater, but it could have been all in. Like take a statement where we're all in, rather than saying all or nothing, because 54 years has been the nothing part. And showing a sympathy side to the Leafs is not what I think they should have got out of that. They should have shown that they are one of the leading organizations in the National Hockey League. It's a building process. Yes, though it's 54 years, they do have a lot of great parts to build a team that can be all in to win it. I just think somebody used the wrong words. I want to close off on this, because all of us missed this one. This season is really excited for a couple of reasons, but one of them is there's only one player in post-era what was the statement? I can't remember what the statement. It's our friend Alex Ovechkin is the only player that scored 500 goals. Did you know that?
That's still playing right now?
Yeah. And who's the other one that's going after 500 goals right now?
Don't say Matthews.
Sidney Crosby.
No, Matthews.
Sidney Crosby is after his 500th goal.
Yeah, there you go.
Stamkos?
Yeah. No, I said Crosby.
Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Oh, Crosby doesn't have 500 already?
Not a goal scorer.
But the one that's really intriguing is going to be this one. There's a number 500 that plays a relevant part to this season, and it's Marc-Andre Fleury.
500 wins.
He's going after 500 wins.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to those two achieving those.
Marc-Andre Fleury doesn't go in the Hall of Fame, then there's a serious issue.
Well, it'd be the gaff from last year that maybe knocks him out.
But that's his age. Nothing to do with. Oh, you're talking about the save. Whatever.
All right, guys. Hey,
Coach,
thank you.
hold on one second. I agreed with you way too much. We'll have to get back to arguing soon. Talk to us about concussed. What's going on tonight at 7?
Yeah, thanks. I was waiting for Brady Leovold to get back on, and he's on tonight. You've got to watch this guy's action packed. He hosts a great show. He talks about mental health. Obviously, we all know his addictions and coming back from hell, as he puts it. So we're really excited to have Brady Leovold, great friend of Paul's, great friend of mine. And I'm going to be open and honest with him. It's going to be up close and personal with Brady. He's going to tell the truth. He's going to tell the facts. He's really going to open it up. And I want to hear the emotion from a guy that's lived it, because there are a lot of people on the peripheral always talking about mental health, or they're talking about concussions, or they're talking about addiction. The three of us, excluding you, Jordan, you've lived a concussion, but we've also, Paul, you and I have been around addiction. I haven't lived addiction, but obviously with my sister and what I've seen you go through it, it's going to be really, I don't want to say exciting, but it's going to be not only educational, but really important that we understand the passion he has for life could have been snuffed out. And I think it's really important for us to understand that we've got to get closer, and it's okay to talk. Lerner coming out and talking about his mental issues, you coming out, Paul, and talking about your addictions. These are important topics that 5 years ago, Paul, we'd never, let's underline it, never talk about this.
We'd be afraid or ashamed. But I'll tell you one thing: if you're watching, anybody watching right now, make sure you watch Concussed tonight at 7. I'm going to tape it or however we do it, archive it and watch it later tonight. I'm busy tonight till about 9, but I'm so excited because he's going to bring a level of honesty that you need when it comes to mental health and addiction. It's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Paul, for organizing. Don't forget Concussed: Understanding the Invisible Injury, brought to you also by the Hockey News Sports Illustrated, but our good people at Fired Up Network. See you later, boys.
See you, Rosie.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a great one tonight. So here's a perfect. I've got a meeting tonight, but I'm going to get, as soon as I get home, I'm archiving and watching it. The Gooch, Kerry Goulet with Brady Leovold, one of the all-time. You talk about a guy who's lived, climbed to the top of the mountain, fallen back down, climbed back up, fallen back down. He is got a great story. He tells it well, and he still battles every day. We talk all the time. It's going to be a great show. Watch that, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Concussed. And then at 8 o'clock, you can turn on the baseball game and watch the New York Yankees destroy the Boston Red Sox. Until Thursday, have a great day. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. And God bless.
You've been listening to the Rosen Report, sports like never before, with your host, Rosie. Brought to you by Gooch Live and Paramount Sports Management.